race that's been around for some 20 years, and which was also the scene of the very first video of a local race in 1980. So some 12 years since. The race that day was won by Kevin Best in 65 minutes 30. I wonder how today's runners will fare. Shane Page there, getting a last minute drink on this very humid day. Something like 95% humidity. In a moment the race will be underway. Straight away, Pat Howell goes into the lead, closely followed by Mike Hayfield, Trevor Shields, Steve Rennie, Jim McGibbon just behind there. Now you can see the 200 odd field just in the background. Slight rise there towards the golf club. One of the few hills in this part of Hull. You would think it would produce faster times, but running totally flat courses give the muscles no ease. And Mike Hayfield's just stolen a yard or two there. His Pat Howell is relaxing into his stride. Steve Rennie on the inside edge. Hayfield is probably more a middle distance man. We agree with that. And the golfers are going to have a sticky day. There's the clubhouse. Opened in 1977 by Dave Slater, the English cross-country international. Here's Pat Howell passing his home club. Goes into the lead. Looking very easy. He's been East Hull's form athlete, particularly in the longer events of this summer. He's the first to say, though, that some of the opposition, the calibre of the opposition is not what it was some 5 or 6 years ago. And I think he's recognised that there can only be one winner today. There's only one person can defeat Pat Howell, and that is himself. It comes to a diadem roundabout with a substantial lead after only just over miles running. Trevor Shields and Steve Watt. Steve Watt is a runner in good form this year. Looks set to do well in the Humber Marathon. Shane's already wobbling. He was right on the pace a mile or so back. Shane Page, that is, of City of Hull. Peter Deering, possibly one of the outstanding secretaries in East Hull's 100-year history, or 99 years history. He was definitely responsible for the rejuvenation in the early 70s. And his youth policy brought on one or two outstanding runners, Peter Ellison being the most notable. Peter Ellison went on to run for England in the International, now known as the World Championships of cross country. Tough performer, and he still has several club records to his credit. A lot of runners will be using this as a long run, as a trial for the Humber Bridge Marathon. Other runners will say, well, we're doing a long run anyway Sunday, so let's join the half marathon. It would be familiar territory because this is largely a local entry, where there was a time when the half marathon and the 20 mile, known as the AFOS 20 mile, would draw runners from far afield. But running has changed enormously in the last three East Hull runners that they trained together, running together today. But runs like this used to draw top calibre athletes. Has a course record of 64:30. The Woodhouse of Derby proves. As we come towards the Gansted roundabout, the field is thinned somewhat. But now we see runners on both sides of the road, and this is where problems occur. The drivers certainly have some room for complaint here. The field should stay on the left and not move over to the right like this, is bound to cause problems. Unfortunately, there has been a number of incidents where runners have been hit by cars, and that situation won't help the safety record. Past the Swiss Cottage, formerly known as the Gansted. I think I prefer the former name. The road surface here by Asda is very smooth and is straightened out, and it's a lot wider than it was some 10 years or so ago. Yeah, provides a good smooth running surface in which to get a nice rhythm going. Glenn Hood there, over 60, wins most of the events he goes in for and thinks nothing of a couple of marathons a weekend. He's also a long distance walker and hiker. As we pass through the field, some runners are, to say the least, overdressed for the conditions, and that particular outfit there will give that particular runner more problems than you'll need. You can see there's anything that can move is limp. There is no wind whatever. There's nothing to clear the air, nothing to evaporate the perspiration on the skin, nothing in which to cool the body's core temperature. So these runners are basically just going to get hotter and hotter until in turn it will affect their performance. And only the really tall runners with slim, large body surface area will have any chance of coping adequately with this kind of humidity. Derek Pickering, fine runner. After very serious injury problems, he's now relatively running as well as ever. Now in the 55-year bracket. I remember attending his 40th birthday celebration. Seems like yesterday. Mike Barker there, the partially sighted athlete. Running well, getting in trim for the Paraplegic Games, Barcelona, where he should fare very well indeed. Shane Page looking a bit heavy, wooden, not running at his best. Come towards Whiten Bar. Because of the poor weather, the amount of traffic out for day trips is substantially lower than usual. Sean Crossland, now a member of City of Hull AC, but ran his greatest race in the red colours of East Hull Harriers back in '79, when he placed 7th in the English Cross Country Championships. Never recaptured that form since, although he's had many attempts, but none serious or sustained. Pat Howell now has a very comfortable lead, and you'd think that he had the body type to deal with this kind of humidity as well as he appears to be. Certainly will be taking its toll. Perhaps his acclimatisation in Las Vegas is helping, where he ran so well in the Fire Services World Championships, taking off quite a few medals.
filming it.
Yeah, this is certainly a one-horse procession now. Pat must have a lead of 200 plus metres. Steve Rennie always runs very close to the curb edge. Prefers cross country, I'd suggest. Mike Hayfield is dropping back a bit now. Low arm carriage. Style favoured by the East Germans. Apparently it allows a greater intake of oxygen and less strain on the upper body. Jim McGibbon, you can see he's gasping, but he's looking round. He's definitely suffering in these conditions. Organiser of the Humber Marathon. And there's an interesting group. Headed by Trevor Shields, Steve Watts just behind, Clive Femby. And Sean's driving further off the pace. The expressions on the face tell all. This is an uncomfortable ride. Steve Peacock. In reasonable shape, although blowing a bit there, you see. You'll notice that the road surface is not as smooth here, as can be evidenced by the puddles. And this has an effect on the relative speed of this particular half marathon. The best time I ran for this kind of event was a 25k, and the service was so good all the way through. Must be worth a minute or so compared with these country roads. What a train. Been around for a long time. To 36-ish, maybe 35 for the marathon. No mean performer. And one thing you can be sure of, Rod, he'll get there. He was a former member of City of Hull before moving to East Hull some 10 or more years ago. There's a little bit of movement from club to club, but surprisingly little really. Derek there, he's hardly aged a jot. Sun-tanned and fit looking. Always has a word of encouragement for those around. There's evidence of some strain there. And there's some way to go. Another new club vest there, Withensea Harriers. Done very well under the guidance of John Towers, who has brought some remarkable performances from new time runners. .103 there, doing very well, carrying quite a bit of weight, probably working a lot harder, well he will be working a lot harder than quite a few runners in front of him. This lady's running very, very well. Scarborough is in front of Julie Crane. Julie Crane in comparison looks a lot easier. A few runners here having a chat. There's our friend with the long fleece shorts on and t-shirt. Today's kind of the day you'd like to take your skin off. So we're at about the 4 miles mark. So around about 9 to go, and as been seen, there's quite a bit of evidence of strain and exhaustion among the runners already. Unlike cycling, running demands a constant effort. There's no freewheeling. When you're in the race and you're on the treadmill, it's effort all the way. You stop the effort and you're walking. Many of these runners will be looking for personal bests, looking slight improvements in position or amongst other runners, but mostly it's about improvement against their own performance. In Spud Huddle there was quite a contrast from the leader there, going through as he's coming into towards the halfway mark. He is totally on his own. Going back through the field, it's a novel new camera angle by Colin Martin. Probably one of the country's leading video photographers of local races, and his catalogue now extends right the way back to the early 80s. And if there's some particular race you'd like to see again, why not give him a ring? 6447272. Or use the order forms. You can see there's no evaporation of the water on the road, and as I was saying before, you can see that the road is not at all even here. That's Shane again. Sean, should I say. So we're going back towards the 5 mile point here. And you can see the variety of standards that compete in today's road races. Looking back to that very first half marathon video on this same course, there were around about 6 runners still together at this point. But today you see a solitary figure of Pat Howell with a lead of several hundred metres. So there's nothing to get Pat to run the kind of times I know he'd like to run. And indeed I'm fairly sure he can run. But without the stimulus of that kind of competition, he's not going to get his times down much below the 70-minute mark. Though Pat has a potential of 65. This is a great problem in now that running is fragmented so much. There's just 1 or 2 class races like the Aerowash 10 and such like, but there's no runs of that calibre in the Hull area, and attempts to bring that kind of calibre race to Hull have not met with much success. The city of Hull City Centre 5 was dominated by 2 local athletes, and even the promise of a £1,000 subvention for a world best failed to interest any runners to visit the magnificent city of Hull. So we seem destined to be a localised running community. Quite a thriving one. So we're going the other way now, back towards Sprotely. We'll see how the various groups of runners are faring. also quite misty today. Caused by the amount of moisture in the air. You notice quite a few runners run very close to the inner edge, which might be good from a safety point of view, but will cost them a bit of time due to the unevenness of the surface there. Just past the sign for Sprotely.
Yeah.
Jim McGivern's, his head's back. He's done a good job for the as a marathon organiser for the Humber Bridge. Mike Harrison,
Okay.
one of East Hull's bankers for a good place, Clive Fenby. Running very well. The road's just dried slightly here. We're back on the main Brillington Road. Much smoother surface again. And Mike Hayfield. Trevor Shields. Steve Watts. He looks fresh. Steve Rennie. Gives the appearance of great energy. But it's just a great shot. Pat Howell. Excellent. Running well. When you consider he works shifts, he's remarkably consistent with his performances. The last of the summer roses was against the roundabout, and he was forced to stop there by cars. Cyclist. Cost him a few seconds. Last thing you want when you're tired into the 12th mile or so of a half marathon. Right towards the finish as the traffic begins to build up. So the finish, 71 minutes for Pat Howell. Well deserved. Pat on the back. Steve Rennie second, equally ahead of the next runners. Frank Lucott there, Graham Brummett, the red trousers, Brian Ellertson with his back to us, Colin Warby on the right. They've been at these road races and assisting for many, many years. Conor Warby himself has had quite a career in marathon runs. Running the 2:30 region for a marathon. As one of the runners who did very well in the London to Brighton in the late 50s. Frank Lucott being another. So these ultra men, there's Steve Watts just finishing. As I say, looking very fresh. I think we can expect something good from him in the Humber Marathon. So certainly large gaps in today's field. Trevor Shields, slightly more distressed than Steve Watts. He looks a bit shattered. Mike Ofield showing his track speed there. That's a little avail except taking a few more seconds off his finish time. It's great to finish. It's great. Get the weight off your legs. Clive Fenby, 77 minutes odd. He's run well. First veteran. Only word from Frank. And spectators watch on. Mike Harrison. Could well be East Hull's third or fourth counter in the Humber Marathon and give East Hull an excellent chance of getting in the team prizes. So I bring this little commentary to a close as Jim McGibbon comes in, as I must start getting my own training in preparation for the Humber Marathon, at which I hope to see most of my friends again.
Don't hug it, Shane. Thank you. Thank you. I don't look like one. I know. John. Hold it, Mike. I did a 10 mile last summer in 2 seconds over the hour. Cheers, lads. Thanks, mate. Cheers, well done, mate. Thanks. You got me right. Good one. Yeah. No, not yet. Ah, Phil. Hi, Murray, you alright? Yeah. Well, no. How do you do, mate? What? I am absolutely.
Haven't cut yours,
At least I've broken the hour and a half again. Oh, 2 years since I've done that. Oh, thanks. Cheers. See ya. Oh. How did you?
Yeah, but the heat is the heat, don't worry.
Mainly the mile swim, 24 mile bike and a 10k run. Mostly that. There's once a day, a mile swim up in the lake district cave. The mile swim, 24 mile bike ride, top of the mountains, 4,000 feet, and an half marathon of 20 minutes. That takes some more. Hey, Johnny.
Push on about it,
It was John. John.
Wonder if he got the back now. Let's see if he's got the back now. Yeah, I think he will. He wants that time. We got to involve.
over here.
Alright, Steve. Is that walking?
Just want to get your number. Get your number.
Get your number.
Oh, do you want to see the vehicle we've got in here? Did you catch that?
No,
Oh, finished in front of you. It's nice,
Hey, when you see the truck, when you see it.
Right, see you later.
Hey!